Le Guin is famous as a master stylist. She is also deceptively simple as a stylist. Her style looks simple, but if you just try to be like, "Oh, it's simple. I'll just write the most straightforward thing possible," I'll be like Le Guin, that will not work out immediately the way you expect. She is actually making a lot of choices. She makes it look simple, but there's a lot of, well, art and craft involved. The essay From Elfland to Poughkeepsie, which she publishes 5 years after she publishes A Wizard of Earthsea, gives us a sense of her stylistic values, including the things that she doesn't want anything to do with. It helps put it in perspective what she doesn't like. You can see who she admires. She admires Tolkien for his simplicity, another artful simplicity. Grandness, she likes Dunsany, who she doesn't quote. She has trouble quoting, and if you read Dunsany, you'll see why. He doesn't do a lot of dialogue. E.R. Edison gets a shout out on a wonderful extended quote, as does Kenneth Morris. And she drags the kind of contemporary 70s and 80s fantasy author Catherine Kurtz as just a negative example of, like, not even a bad version of that, but a version of straightforward commercial fiction she doesn't like, that strikes Le Guin as a false simplicity. She also interestingly goes out and talks about the words she doesn't want to see in fantasy. And here it's my edition. It's she talks about the errors, and she warns you about what can go wrong. There's er, Here is she doesn't like words like hey, hey, like we're gonna use fancy words like eldritch, tenebrous, smaragds, and chalcedony. Mayhap. Can't be maybe. Can't be perhaps. It has to be mayhap, unless it's perchance. Okay. One of the things Le Guin does, and if you look at the Wizard of Earthsea, one of the things that's creating the impression of simplicity is she is using simple words, words that are themselves almost always very old. She doesn't use technical terms, she doesn't use jargon, she uses words that are actually, she's not going to use a very specific word. And okay, the fantasists who use those words are trying to create a distance by using the elaborate vocabulary. Le Guin is shooting for a totally different effect. She finds that effect distracting and fakey. She is going to try to use what seem like simple words, words that are common, words that are ordinary, words that have a lot of associations with them. She's not going to say crenellation. She's going to talk about houses. She's going to say roof, tower. The more technical, the more limited a word, the less likely she is to use it. That's one of the things that's creating an effect. Now, she tells us in the Elfland to Poughkeepsie article or essay that style is the book itself. That style, if you take out the style, there's nothing else. Take her seriously. Style is a key element. What do we mean by style? Style is the way a writer smuggles in information besides the literal meaning of words. You can tell somebody what happened all kinds of ways. The word choices you make create a lot of information. It controls pace, tone, mood. It does all kinds of things. It has a sound itself that creates effects in the listeners. It sneaks in metaphors. You've noticed already, Le Guin loves to smuggle in a metaphor. Style is what gets everything across but the literal paraphrasable content. Style is what goes away in spark notes or whatever you have, or smoop, um, which is why spark notes is so much less fun than actually reading a book. Oof. It is what your an AI chatbot summary just cannot get. Let me Simple words, words that are resonant, words that have a lot of associations. She's using simple words not for simplicity for its own sake, because those words, common words we use all the time, house, school, home, these words come packed with emotional associations and resonances. They allow her to smuggle those words in. She doesn't want any words, or she wants very few words that sound like you took a theory seminar. Those words are very limited and mean very specific things. So let me go yet again to the key chapter, chapter 4. And here is a passage where the Archmage, having saved Ged, is gonna die. Not far away in the unroofed court where the fountain played, the Archmage lay also unmoving, but cold, very cold. Only his eyes lived, watching the fall of moonlit water and the stir of moonlit leaves. Those with him said no spells and worked no healing. Quietly they spoke among themselves from time to time, and then turned again to watch their lord. He lay still, hawk nose and high forehead and white hair bleached by the moonlight to all the color of bone. To check the ungoverned spell and drive off the shadow from Ged, Nemmerly had spent all his power, and with it his bodily strength was gone. He lay dying. But the death of a great mage, who as many times in his wife walked on the steep hillside of Death's kingdom, is a strange matter. For the dying man goes not blindly, but surely, knowing the way. When Nemmerly looked up through the leaves of the tree, those with him did not know if he watched the stars of summer fading in daybreak, or those other stars, which never set above the hills that see no dawn. Okay. A lot is going on there. No complicated words are going on there. You'll notice that as a stylist, she varies her sentences. They're fairly long and complex and flowing sentences. She saves the shortest sentence for the highest impact. He lay dying. 3 words. 3 words. 4 syllables. Boom. Different from the other sentences for emphasis. This is what writers do. You set up a pattern, and then when you want to emphasize something, you vary the pattern. Is he frigid? Is he freezing? Is he frigid? Is he sub-zero? No, he's cold. Very cold. Simple words for you to fill in with emotional associations. Work no spells, no hit. I will point out a few things. There is the hawk reference, which is a key to he's got a hawk nose. This ties him to Ged, who is troped as a hawk and outright named as a hawk and turns into hawks. All of that, who's called Sparrowhawk. Oh my God, the hawk and the shadow are all over this book. Nemmerly's whiteness comes up a lot. He's got a white beard because he's very, very old. He's introduced as probably the oldest man or oldest person in Earthsea at the time. But here, if the darkness that came out of the darkness that came out in that spell is bad, if darkness is bad as it always is in traditional fantasy, whiteness is dangerous here. It's bleached by the moonlight. It's the color of bone. It's a white you don't want anything to do with. Darkness is scary, and in the summoning passage, you'll see there's terrible brightness and light too, and the white scars that Ged walks away in his face with. That white is not positive. White is not always good in Le Guin. Black is not always bad. Darkness and light belong together. And we're watching. He's watching the stars. Maybe the stars in this sky. Maybe the stars in the other sky. Okay. Simple words or common words that have a long history, that have been used a lot, that have picked up a lot of associations in their travels. Words with a shadow. That's how Le Guin rolls.